Hello, everyone. This is Suzanne Hart, and welcome to this week's broadcast. This week, we're looking at strategic mastery. So, I'm going to give a moment for people to join us, see who's out there. And for those of you who are just joining, we are here with Mr. Brent Simpson. I will be doing an introduction in a moment, so I'm going to keep you all in absolute total anticipation. I know how it is. We're going to give a moment for people to join in. So how are you, Brent?
I am good. Looking forward to the conversation today.
Likewise, likewise. And how was your travels back? Brent was recently in Toronto, Canada, hanging
Oh,
out
guys,
with...
amazing trip. If anybody has not been to one of Suzanne Hart's trainings, you have to go. Luckily, this time I had the pleasure and privilege to be one of the guest facilitators. So that was awesome. It was a great experience. And her audience is so much energy. And then for Suzanne, there's so much content. Between the two, great experience. So for everybody who was at the event, hello. For everybody who's coming to the event in April, I look forward to seeing you all. Have you already told them about the event in April?
I haven't told everybody online, but everyone who is in the room knows about the event in April, but not everyone online. Not yet. But okay. We will be continuing our journey for those individuals who have a desire to unleash the power of their story. This one's about story mastery, and it's about pulling out the lessons that live in each of our stories and using them to inspire, touch, and move other people. So that's what that is about. We're going to be setting our date and finalizing our date in April in Toronto, Canada. So yes.
Yeah.
So just
I had a meeting earlier today with somebody who asked me, do I know anyone that can help them with their speaking platform? I was like, of course. So I suggested they actually watch this live today. And I mean, I know that's not the topic for today, so I'm not going to go too deep into it. But I will say, guys, if anybody's interested in becoming a speaker and you have not sat through Suzanne's course, you absolutely need to do it. Engage her, send her a direct message, ask about the program. It was great. I enjoyed it, and I was a facilitator as well. I still walked away learning new things. So definitely, I'm a huge proponent of the course.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. And I think one of the biggest things that most people want to do is everyone has something they want to share. And this is all about self-expression and mastering your communication. And I know for myself, it was a game changer because I went from the person who rarely ever talked, can you imagine, to the person who just loves the act of communication. So I see we have Taylor joining. I know we have some people that are going to be jumping on in a moment, but I'm going to get us going. I'm excited for this conversation. This conversation is about strategy, and for many people, I'm not sure if people actually know what strategy is. And this talk is called Strategic Mastery, and it is the connection between strategy and mastery. And when I thought of the conversation, there was no one else I could ask but Mr. Brent Simpson himself. And Brent is the owner of Bold Vision, but he's also a business growth accelerator. He, in my mind, is the master strategist. He has this unique ability to accelerate your business, look at your business, and find ways to move it forward and move it quickly. And who doesn't want that? So when I thought of, we've done goal setting for many of the people who've been listening and following these lives. I've been getting comments on people who've written their 100 goals, really excited. They're putting together their plan. And I thought, okay, so people have goals, but what about a strategy? Because I know myself, the more I engage with you, Brent, strategy is so important. So Brent, welcome. Thank you for joining us. I'm excited to pick your brain. So welcome.
Thank you.
Tell me, first of all, talk a little bit about what you've done, who you are, and why strategy just is one of the things that you're so passionate about.
Okay, guys. So my name is Brent Simpson. Some of you all know me from Bold Vision Enterprise. Actually, a lot of you guys on this channel probably know me from working with Suzanne. Um, Now, quick background. I'm the kid that grew up on the playground just wanting to play and burn energy. I've turned that kid later on into an individual who was fascinated with business. I've always been fascinated with business at a very young age. In high school, I think that's when I first started to, really explore the entrepreneurship bug, if you will. And that led me into college. I went to school for banking and finance. Directly coming out of school, I wanted to be a stockbroker. So I was a stockbroker for a number of years. Then looked at the strategy behind really how people invest their money. It was strategy and everything. It's strategies on how you pick schools. It's strategies on how you really explore your interests. It should be strategies at least. But when I started looking at the patterns of how things were happening, even as a stockbroker or financial advisor, I then really was interested in helping my cousin start a small business. And that business went from roughly about 130,000 a year to about 14.6 million and still
Wow.
growing. And in that space, for a small minority owned company to get a foothold in that industry, and you really have to have strategy. Everything about it is strategy based. Especially, you hear about people, I'm gonna start a business, but you very rarely hear about people whose businesses go into multiple millions. And so being a part of that and having helped that process along, I learned strategy is everything. So I left, started my own company, Bold Vision Enterprise. And in that space, we really work with small businesses, helping them to develop strategies to accelerate their growth. And that's who we are.
Wow. And so that's a great success in terms of moving a company from its conception to millions. First of all, first thing I want to ask is what is the difference between strategy and having a great plan? Because I know when we were talking last night, I was talking about having an action plan and a strategy, and you were like, hold up, they're not the same thing. So
Yes.
enlighten us.
So, I would say a strategy is an extension of a plan, and most of the time we've all heard the old adage, people don't plan to fail, they fail to plan. But then comes the essence or the question below that is this: what is a plan? And a plan is a systematic series of steps that you're going to take to reach a goal that you devise before attempting to reach the goal. And that's the important piece. You don't plan once you're there. It has to happen before the actions to get there. Now, you say, well, what's the difference between that and strategy? A strategy really is that plan, but in the underlying current of that plan, your overall purpose is to have a strategic advantage when that plan is done or when you reach that goal. A goal, may be a very simple steps to get something accomplished. Strategy is when you want to have an advantage over competitors, other individuals in that field once you reach that place. And the competitive advantage, I want to say, is not this devious thing like, oh, competitive, but the strategy really just gives you an advantage over others. And that's the difference between that and a plan.
So are you saying then that so I can put in place an action plan, but you're saying I now want to look at what might be unique about what I do and how can that strategically give me an advantage in the marketplace?
Yeah, and that's really when you want to look at a strategy. And strategy not only is an advantage towards others, and I know I mentioned competitors and opponents, if you will, because a lot of times we kind of relate strategy to war or military, events. But in the same space, sometimes it's just a strategy to make yourself better. You may have a plan to do, let's just say steps 0 through 6, but you realize if you take a slightly different strategy on how you approach step 2, you can skip to step 5. That's a strategy to help you accelerate the plan that you had by putting together some, maybe it's just bringing in an advisor, maybe it's sitting down with a speech coach and really working with a trainer to reset your mind. Whatever it is, when you bring those people in, or whatever strategy, whatever tactics you use to accelerate that plan, that's when you really kick in the whole strategy of planning.
what's really interesting, and I think this is where, Brent and I can probably talk for hours, right? And one of the reasons I think is that there are certain things that we do in business, in life, that often are overlooked, if you will. And I think strategy and mindset are two of those things, because I can be really good at doing something. I can have all the skills, all the talent, everything in place. If you're talking about skills, talent, brilliance, all those things. But what I'm hearing you say is that you might just turn someone's head slightly to the right and say, look over here and do it this way,
Yeah.
just a little different. And that strategy in of itself can totally accelerate someone.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Case in point, I recently had a client come in. We sat down. We were just talking about their way to penetrate a networking event deeper than most. So the plan was to go to the networking event and meet individuals that can possibly become clients. The strategy behind that was to go to the networking event, contact this particular person, let them know that you know this amount of information about this topic, therefore piquing their curiosity about you more than the average person at that party. Then take that information and go to the person who's the head of the event and let them know you had a conversation and that you found out these particular items, which now they know you're connected. And now they know you're connected. You become a person of interest, but really you're an attendee at a party. So, when you look at the strategy, still the plan was to go to the event and meet as many people as possible, hopefully meet the head person and become a person of interest to them. The strategy is we're going to talk to person A to get this information, to then go to person B, to basically establish yourself as that individual or authority in the room. And now I'm going to person C, and that's what I originally wanted to get to. Different. I mean, it's slightly different, but it's a strategy.
And you know what's interesting? I think most people, as they're watching, they probably, or even if they're thinking of hiring someone or engaging someone, they're probably thinking that, first of all, strategy will incorporate all this complex stuff or all these additional expenses. And what I'm hearing you say is, no, strategy is just looking at what you're capable of doing from a different perspective and really leveraging opportunities, time, talents, connections, all those things in a very systematic way to get a particular outcome.
Absolutely. And guys, this is why Suzanne and I work so well together. So she makes it, she brings it all together because, sometimes I could be a bull in a china shop, but that is the reality is what is your strategy to accomplishing your goal? And, to give a very specific example, when we talked about going to a networking event, how many guys have went to a networking event early and just met the bartender and just talked to them about their favorite drink? What's your favorite drink to make? And you get there early. Then you meet the person at the door. More than likely, it's a much more relaxed environment. So you can talk to the person at the door a little longer. Maybe you meet the promoter or event coordinator. But because you got there 10, 15 minutes early, what's the difference between getting there 10, 15 minutes early and then asking, is there anything I can help with? How many people would just do that? Nobody. So now the event starts. You know the bartender, bartender's favorite drink, the person at the door, and the event coordinator. Now let's say you're a person who has anxiety about social environments. So now a little bit of that social angst, they're gone, because people, they're friendly faces, if you will, because you have strategically made them friendly. So now you walk up to a group of people to whom you probably would not have walked up to in another situation. And you say, hey, have you all tried the drink that Susie makes? It's her favorite drink. It's her signature drink. It's called the Susie D. And so it's like, who's had that drink? And now they're like, oh, well, what is that? But what if you go a step further, you walk them over to the bar and then you kind of wave and say, they will love that drink that no one has ever asked you about before, that no one took the time to care. But when the bartender sees you, she lights up. And now these people who you never met before see this bartender light up when they see you, and they're trying to figure out, why did she light up when she saw you? So who are you? And now everybody's walking around with this drink, and then other people start talking about it. And they're like, oh, yeah, Brent told me about it. Now, who's this Brent guy, and why did he know the inside scoop? It's nothing but a drink. But because of the strategy you put behind how you engage people and meet people, you become a higher person of interest than most. So that's strategy.
That and it's simple. I know for myself, just to give another example. I mean, what you're saying is so simple, but it's the forethought, right? It's what am I going to do to maximize the situation when I get there? I know for myself, whenever I speak, I always arrive early. I usually go for the day, and I actually connect in the room. So by the time I take the stage, I can shout out people from the audience. And the minute I do that, people are like, "Oh, she knows me. She remembered me." And half the time, people don't know I was a speaker in the first place when I was working the room. So, and that just that little engagement will shift your audience. It'll warm your audience up. It'll do all sorts of stuff. And so you're just giving great ideas for people to really maximize situations. So as people get involved, and I love the fact that you're talking about networking, because I think people don't look at networking from a strategic point of view. So what are the most common things that you think someone who's starting a business, what are the most common mistakes they make, overlook when you're thinking from a strategy perspective?
I think number one, and many of us can relate to this, is getting caught up in our own heads. We think because it was our brainchild that we have to do it. No one else can help. We have to be the source of everything related to the business. And especially because you hold it like a baby, and you don't want anybody else to touch your baby because they don't understand your baby like you do. That is when a lot of businesses begin the process of failure, and they don't know it. And the reality is, if you can actually explain the business and bring people in to help you move it along, those different angles of people looking at your business becomes your strategy on how you get out of your own head. And you get out of your own way when you can get out of your own head. Another place I see people really kind of go wrong, and I mean, I will completely say this happens, but it can easily be fixed. When they start a business, and because they started it, they go sit in this box, and they assume that they're not going to come out of the box until the product or service is done because the world wants or needs it. And they don't talk to anybody. And they don't poll, they don't check to see, is this a viable product? They don't look at pricing. They don't even know what the price per unit is to make it. They don't know what their time value is. They just don't know very core points about business because it's just them. It's them in a box, and they're following their passion. And guys, if you know Suzanne or I, we're both proponents of following your passion, but do it with the strategy behind it. Do it with the plan. Do it with the team. And when you don't have a plan, you don't have a strategy, you don't have a team, you're destined to fail. Or you know what? If you don't, it's going to be a very, very hard road.
Mm-hmm. And it's so interesting because I know for myself, when I started, it felt like it was me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I soon began to realize, well, it was me. Didn't just feel like it was me. It was me. But I soon began to realize that renting space in my own head was not very functional, right? Because I got to be more and more overwhelmed by all the parts that needed to be done. The minute I started engaging people, one is the anxiety began to decrease, but the perspectives, which is really what you're talking about, the different perspectives, the different points of view, the different lenses and strengths that people bring to the table really kind of move things along. So part of strategy is really that thing of engaging different expertise, different talents, but different perspectives, if I'm hearing correctly.
Yeah. And I say this too, especially speaking towards mindset mastery. You have to check yourself from a very honest lens and see if you have the proper mindset to begin a business. In this age of social media, we have people putting these pictures, getting into Lamborghinis and, jumping out of planes with their company's t-shirt on. It's a lot that goes into those creations of business. And not only that, it's rough. If you don't have the mindset of a person that's going to succeed no matter what, you can easily be broken in business. And you know what? And I'll go a step further, because there's so much visual stimuli of entrepreneurship being so easy or so fun or so fantastic of a lifestyle, that when the reality of it hits, it's harder, because you had this heightened thought that it was going to be so glamorous and so easy. I get to make my schedule determine, and when it hits hard. So mindset, guys, it's everything. And you know, Suzanne, one of the reasons why I absolutely love working on your platform is because we get to put that strategy behind having not only a healthy mindset or a strong speaking platform, but it's to integrate it into the actual business. Most business owners fall into one or two categories. You're either a visionary or you're an integrator. Either, you know, and those, the visionary is a person with the big picture thought. And they're
Yeah.
like, oh, I know exactly what we can do next, or the first time. It's huge. It's a huge picture. And it's a great idea sometimes. But then when they go for integration of that business or that thought into actual business, they're not that great at the details. That's when you normally want to go find an integrator, somebody who's good at the details, or someone that can slow you down, because you may have like one or two characteristics of a visionary as an integrator, or you may have one or two characteristics of a visionary as an integrator, but you really should find somebody separate who can fill that slot, because you will get burned out. And it's very difficult to recover from that when you don't have a proper team in place. And especially if you have a damaged mindset as a result of it.
So Brett, do you think that one of the key purpose for strategy, I know for a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of professionals, period, is staying focused and staying on point, right?
Yeah.
And if I'm hearing you correctly, it is the person who is the strategist, as in your role, you're coming in from and taking a bird's eye view and saying, this is the path you're going to take. And then you're also looking from a perspective of skill set. You're looking from a perspective of mindset. You're looking from a perspective of timing, and pulling all those together and going, given all these different factors, this is the path that you're going to take. And I think the other part is also having someone being able to say, okay, you're off track, you've lost focus, right? And putting people back in alignment with a strategy, a way of doing. Because I know when I coach and mentor people, one of the biggest things the biggest challenges I see is people have a goal, and then it's almost like there's the squirrel effect, right? You know, shiny object over here, shiny object over there, children, family, kids, this, that. And because they don't have a clear strategy or an plan, I should say, they're bouncing all over the place and getting nowhere. And it's not based on the lack of skills or talent. It's based on a lack of clarity. And I think what you're really talking about is helping people gain that clarity so that they can move in a very organized fashion.
Yeah. And you know, you talk about alignment and clarity. That right there is enough to really start anybody with a plan. When you have clarity is what you're trying to accomplish, you can then communicate. If you don't have clarity, it's very difficult to communicate with others what you're doing, or you know, what you intend to do. So once you can gain that clarity, you can talk to the masses. You can go for financing. You can start looking, you know, I have clarity what I want to do. Now let's look at what you're speaking about, you know, the data points along the way. Like you can start establishing data points to basically assess whether you're being successful or not. You can create checklists. You can, I mean, you know, for everybody watching later on, Suzanne will be offering a freebie, and it's a business startup checklist. But you know, if you have clarity, you can make checklists along the way, and those checklists then become a benchmark for your success. And if you can start benchmarking different points of success along your journey of entrepreneurship, along your journey in life, really, it doesn't even matter if it's entrepreneurship, it could be marriage, it could be anything. But when you have particular benchmarks set, because of clarity from the beginning, you will make wiser decisions and stay properly aligned, which will move you towards sustainability and success in your business. It's all tied together. And when we think it's not, that's when things get loose. We chase businesses because we feel like it's what I'm supposed to do, or we get into there's groove. And you know, if anybody drives a car who's watching this and your car, that tire gets stuck in the groove, it's hard to get it out. The tire naturally wants to stay there. You have to steer your way out. And only by having clarity while driving of where the proper place you should be in is that's only by which you know how to get out of the groove, because you have clarity of vision. So if you're driving and you can't see through the front window and you're stuck in this groove, how difficult will it be to get out?
Mm-hmm.
Extremely difficult. So, you know, when you're driving your life, when you're driving your business, have clarity. Make sure your windshield is clean, no cracks, nothing obscured like on the windshield where you can't see. Look forward and then drive there.
So question, and I think I already know the answer because from personal experience. So, can a person develop their own strategy effectively?
No. So, you know what? And you know, guys, I know there's a bunch of people watching that just went, well, why not? You can do it. It can be done. It just becomes difficult and it takes longer. But
so why is it difficult?
It is, you can't. Okay, let's imagine this, right? If you were in a facility, let's say it's a gym, it's a big gymnasium, and you're gonna do a event today, like it's the warrior runs. If anybody's ever done warrior runs, it's like when you run through these mazes and all these things. Mm-hmm. So imagine they drop all these barriers down and they create a maze, and you're standing there, and these barriers are about 8 feet tall, but it's a maze. You just have to go through the maze and get out the other side. Pretty simple. Pretty simple. But you're standing at the front and the barrier's right in front of you. You can't see which way to go. Now imagine if you can get a ladder, 20-foot ladder, and look down on that maze. Do you think you would get out the maze faster? Because you have a different perspective. Oftentimes people who aren't in the business, who aren't in love with the idea, let's call it what it is. They're not in love with the idea, so they look at it with a different lens. They can offer you, you know, absolutely, especially when you seek professionals, they can offer you a vantage point that will get you through that maze much faster. So they can do it, Suzanne, yes. But history has shown it's going to take a lot longer for them to accomplish the goal than if they had the proper team in place.
Well, so I'll give a humble example for myself, right? So messaging, right? I'm working on my messaging. I'm in it. I'm excited, and I've got my messaging. I've got some up on my website. Brent is my advisor, right? So Brent takes a look at my website and goes, "Why is this missing?" And I'm like, "What's missing?" And he goes, "Why is this missing? It's nowhere." And I'm thinking, well, my message is pretty clear, but in my gut, I know there's something missing, but I can't put my finger on it. In less than 15 minutes probably, he tells me what's missing. And once I shift it, right, and we're talking about mastery, we're talking about mindset. Once I shifted, the clarity in messaging was it rocked me, right? Now, the reason I'm sharing that is that I'm a very effective communicator in my mind. I'm great at messaging, but because I was in the picture, I couldn't see the whole thing, right? And so when someone totally objective came and looked at it, it was like, okay, but why is the key thing missing from the picture? And it was only when I stood back after it was pointed out to me and looked at my own messaging and said, oh my gosh, it's missing. And so the key thing about mastery that I wanted to convey was not as clearly articulated as I wanted it to be. So I just want to just give an example that it can happen. It happens to all of us, right? And I think it's because we get so close to something, we get so close to a message, we get so close to a idea, we get so close to a project, a program, something that we lose perspective. I know for myself, even like when I don't know about you, but I can write something and then reread it, and I'll actually read what's in my head, not what's on the page.
Oh yeah, everybody.
Right? because I'm so close to it. And words can be missing. And I'm just reading because I'm reading what I believe is there versus what is there. And I think what you're talking about is being the person to say, let me take a look from an objective place
Yep.
with a host of different expertise that you may not have, and look from that lens and give you some perspective and new ideas.
Yeah. And you know what? Even once we had the conversation, it wasn't as if it rested just with me. You know, you thought about it. You took the messaging back to other people on your team, and they were like, "Oh, yeah, let's dive into that," because it was a different clarity there. And now, you know, it's a little bit more clarity on your end of a message that was already powerful, and then you take it back to a team member, and then it explodes. And now, you know, that's what happens when clarity comes from different angles. And you know, if you're gonna share stories, I have to share some too, right? So I I've always, you know what, guys, for anybody watching who may know me, I'm a bit of an introvert. Although I understand to be successful in business, you have to engage. But reasonably, I thought I was a good speaker. And I wouldn't have necessarily called myself a speaker before meeting Suzanne, but I never even would have thought that was a path I needed to go down. And as a business person, understanding strategy, understanding all these things about, you know, success and engagement, yeah, everyone knows engagement is important. But I never would have called myself a speaker nor trainer ever without meeting Suzanne. But when I started to accept that space that I was in, it opened up a whole new opportunity and a series of opportunities, to be honest. In addition to that, my clients started to resonate with that. They were like, "Oh yeah, you do training." I was like, "I do." So they were like, "Yeah." And since then, I've actually done training for some offices that, you know, clients of mine, and I understand the importance of being able to speak. So whether you're a business person who is going to hit the big stage, or you're an individual who's just trying to communicate with your staff at work, being able to effectively speak and communicate to others is huge. It's not just for that person who wants to get in front of 5,000 people and, you know, excite them. It's no longer that space. If you're doing Facebook Lives, I think you should be getting training, you know, quite honestly. When I did it, my team member and, and my trainer took me to a new level when it came to speaking. So you guys, it's a lot of opportunities, even on this live right now. You know, oftentimes you may have seen Suzanne and I talk, and we always start off with, we can keep talking forever, because we understand there's value in the conversation.
Mhm.
So when you guys are watching this, what's your strategy? You know, what's the strategy on how you plan on engage Suzanne or myself? What's your strategy on how you're going to now take these little nuggets of information, implement them into your life to have a better life? Because it's great to watch, and I hope you guys, you know, the viewership stays up. That's great. But it's even better when people implement these things into their life, when they actually go out and say, you know what, I want to hire her. I just want to see what it's like. Or, you know, I would love to work with Bold Vision. You know, I had this business idea bouncing around my head. I need to get it out of my head and onto the paper. These moments are the moments where you can either have, I plan on doing it one day, or a strategy to get it done.
So, and I want to simplify it, right? So let's say you're on social media in some form or fashion on a regular basis. The question is, do you have a strategy? And so if you want to start to look at strategy, just evaluate where your business is, I'm going to ask you to write challenge in the comments section. And Brent has given us a business startup checklist, and it will actually begin to show you your gaps, and it'll begin to help you just find out strategies. So Brent, talk a little bit about that. So if you're interested in just really tuning up, write challenge in the comments section.
Okay, guys. So if you're interested in starting a business, there's certain things you should be looking at. You know, your idea, is the idea viable? And that may include, you know, polling. So, you know, we created a checklist. I mean, it's going to go through everything from the ideation to launch. You know, we're looking at, are you going to create a business? Are you just going to just kind of make it a hobby? And it's a checklist. So when you start checking those boxes, you can reflect on it. You can look at it and say, you know what? Maybe I should check this box as well. And that may cause you to have to do a different action to actually get that box checked. It's going to go through a SWOT. If you guys don't know what a SWOT is, it's strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. and it's called a SWOT analysis. It's actually one of the boxes that you can check on the list. And I have it right here. It's committing to your business. We're going to look at making a list of business ideas that you have and strengths related to those ideas. Don't just assume that the market wants what you have. That we talked about it earlier. I'm not going to go back into it, but sometimes the market just doesn't. And if the market does want it, sometimes they're not willing to pay for it. So it's not only does the market want and need it, will the market pay for it? And if they will pay for it, it's still another step. Will I make enough profit to stay in business doing it? So these are things that you should think about. Some of this is on the checklist. Setting up your business, selecting a name. What does your name reflect? And, you know, as you go through this checklist, guys, start thinking about who's on your team. Everybody should have a team that can help them get from start to finish. So if you're going through this checklist and you realize you're the person on all these boxes, count the boxes at the end. And if your number is more than, you know what, I'm just gonna say count the boxes at the end. I'm not even, you'll see how many items are on here. Then it's planning for your business, executive summaries, looking at company overview, product descriptions, ensuring sufficient funds to run the business. It's on there. And it goes all the way up to setting up to operate. You know, are you set up to actually operate a business, or are you set up just to exist? Some of you guys will go into business and you'll think, oh, I'm in business because you created a name. You have no company structure. You have no employees. You have no collateral material. You really don't know what your service and products are. And then, you know, if you go through this, you're going to realize it's a lot more to running a business than just having an idea and energy. Idea and energy will not get you to success, period. So, you know, go through the checklist. If you guys have any questions about what's on the checklist, feel free to send me a direct message or contact Suzanne. And she knows how to get in touch with me. Or contact Suzanne and ask her thoughts. You know, I know some of you all may already be in her mastermind. And, you know, just maybe something that you guys talk about in the mastermind. I don't know. And if you're not in the mastermind, you can ask her about it, because you probably should be. So, yeah, enjoy it. You know, send, what are they supposed to do? How do they get it?
So I already see, I see some challenges in the comment section. So you just put challenge in the comment section, and we will make sure that you will get the business startup checklist. Now, this is the interesting thing. Even as Brent was going through those different categories, all my mind is saying, so what's the strategy for that? Right? What's the strategy for this? What's the strategy for that? Because sometimes we look at our business and we look at it as this big thing, right? But really, what you're highlighting is that there's strategies that are internal for your business. There's strategies that are external for your business. Yeah. There's strategies that are related to marketing. There's strategies that are related for growth. There's strategies that are related to product development. Like, there's all these sorts of different things that are the underpinnings of creating your own success. And I know for myself that I can't do it all. You can't do it all. And I think the, you know, I'm searching for your words, Brent. Above board, what is it? Above the line.
Oh, above the line activities. Yes.
Above the line activities, right? And so I'm going to pass it to you, because I really want you to share with people about this above the line activities and the strategy behind it and the speed that it creates versus below, you know.
Okay, so you guys are getting a bonus right now. That's something I do with clients. So for Suzanne Hart, I will do it.
Just give them the surface. Understand why.
All right, so guys, do this. Imagine a box, if you will, just a box. And bottom left corner is your idea, your product. And the great thing is about this, it works with anything. It works with absolutely anything. So imagine a box. Bottom left corner is your idea, your product. And then the top right is the goal that you're trying to get to. If you draw a line from that idea to the goal, and the goal may be selling 20 units, it may be getting it on the shelf at Whole Foods, it may be getting your first client, whatever it is. Idea, service, goal. And the line in between represents time. Time. We will not get time back. Time is the great equalizer. What you do with your time will determine your level of success in this world. Everybody has a finite amount of time. So the line from idea to goal is time. Above the line, we do things like hire people who have greater success than ourselves and get them to teach us how to accelerate our success. We hire people to, write out or help us write out our ideas in an organized fashion so we can then develop the product or service faster. Above the line, we actually take time to reflect and make sure that we're prepared for what's about to come with entrepreneurship or whatever's going to come to get us to the goal. It's not always entrepreneurship, whatever. Above line activity is having a team in place that can catch you if you fall. Now let's go below the line. Below the line activities, and a lot of us are guilty of this. Remember, it's the idea to the goal, and that line between, either above it or you're below it. Below the line activities are, I'm gonna do it all myself. I'm gonna keep letting people use all my services for free. I'm gonna keep giving it away because I think I need to give all of it away so people see my value. They're taking your value. What are you really doing? And then you have the individuals who they want to do it themselves because they think they can't afford to hire someone because they haven't looked at all the financing options. They haven't looked at all the ways to raise capital. They were in a bubble by themselves, therefore they didn't see their gaps. So they're below the line. What happens when you're below the line is you stretch out that line. And as that line stretches out, because it's taking you more time to get to market, people come into the place that can replace you, copycats. And what you don't want to happen is innovators to come in. Because someone will see, oh, they're getting traction, but they're not doing it right. So let me go do it right and accelerate my success. And now I'm accelerating past them. I'm now an innovator in their own market space. So now they're trying to catch me, but they had the original idea. Below the line activities, they'll kill you. Below the line activities are, I got to wait till I get it 100% right. That's the below the line mindset. Above the line mindset is I'm going to get it right while I'm in business. There's people out there who, and we all know that person, we're like, they're not the smartest. They're not the most talented. Well, why are they successful? Because they went above the line and they got a team, top-notch team, and pushed them forward. Well, they did everything they needed to do in preparation of launching. And so when they launched faster. So those are all above. It actually goes deeper. I can't give it all to you all right now. You got to hire me for that.
That is more than I expected. And the reason I wanted you to just touch on that was simply this, is that the above the line activities are where the strategists live, right? Yep. So when you take time to engage someone with the knowledge, the skills, the experience, it moves things quickly. But our tendency is to think we're going to figure it out.
Yep. And I'll say this, Suzanne, and this is one thing I often hear that I think is going to lead to a lot of people's demise. If you find yourself oftentimes, let me say this slowly, actually. If you find yourself oftentimes saying, oh, I can't afford that, more than likely your business will not get traction. Or by the time it gets traction, you're heading towards retirement. And I hear it very often from a particular mindset of people. And it's like, it's not a group in the sense you may be thinking. I mean a group of people with a particular mindset. Like, oh, I can't afford, and it could be paper to print. It can be a conference that you need to go to. It can be software that you need to improve your business. It can be somebody to do graphics for you. It can be somebody to do marketing. It can be an attorney. It can be a bank. When I often hear people say, well, I just can't afford it. I can't afford it. I can't afford it. You go get a 9-to-5. This is not the space for you. And there are creative ways to put strategy in place to get things done. That not everything about being able to afford things require money. And then, until people really understand what currency truly is and stop thinking it's just money, you're destined to fail in business.
Wow. And I so love what you're saying, because one of the reasons I love mindset and I love the whole concept of mindset mastery is exactly this. Because a poverty mindset is a way of thinking. It doesn't really reflect your bank account, really, right? Oh, no, because it'll show up in your bank account, but you can have a time in your space in life where there's not sufficient funds in your bank account, but your mindset is a wealth and an abundant one. And then you can have lots in your bank account, but your mindset is still one of poverty, loss, scarcity, so on and so forth. And I think really what those are the things in terms of getting the coaching, mentoring, support to shift your mindset so that you come from an abundant place. You're really talking about, you know, and oftentimes what reason I love this whole concept about strategy, because strategy is often those things that seem at times insignificant or unseen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why would I sit down with someone else and look at my business and do this planning? I can do it myself. Why will I sit down with someone and really examine how I think or what my habits are? I can do that myself. The reality is we're too close. Yeah. And I think that the piece is I'm too close. I engage Brent, I engage Alethea, I engage different people so that I have a lens on my life and my business that's different than me. Because I'm attached. Let's just be real. I'm attached. It's mine. This is my baby. And sometimes I can feel the stuff, but someone just needs to come and say, Suzanne, sit down. Let me just tell you the real deal, right? And that is the stuff. We all need it. We all need it.
Yep. And you know, Suzanne, just real quick, I had a meeting yesterday with a gentleman from Sheffield, England, and you know, it was one of the companies I'm building out there. And this individual, it was my first time meeting this gentleman, Paul Cooper, and Paul. We were talking to Daniel Koch and Paul Cooper. We were all having a conference call, and it's about growing a business. It's Daniel and I's business. And so we're talking, and Paul was like, oh, guys, have you looked at what you're going to do for international receipt of international commerce? And, you know, we have. So we told him we have looked at that. And he said something. I was like, you know, I never really would have thought about that. It was along the lines of having not only a board of advisors, but making sure that the board of advisors, somebody from there was on an international monetary policy board. I never would have thought about that. And I build boards, guys. I build boards. And so, you know, I just wouldn't have thought about it. And Paul offered that quick thought, anecdotal. It was not, he didn't charge, but being amongst the right team and being with people who are outside of that space, you get things that you otherwise wouldn't get. And also I want to say this, it's not about just getting people outside your space. It's about getting skilled individuals with a track record who are outside of your space. Don't go to your cousin unless your cousin's successful in this, or, you know, I'm going to talk to my sister because she always backs me. And you're just going to try to surround yourself with yes people, because the strategy that they give you is going to be one based, and I hate to say this, on you winning every time. And sometimes you need people to tell you that, like, that's a bad idea. Or, you know what, the way it's set up is not going to win. You need to change it. And sometimes it's not the propensity of those closest to you to say those things. So just think about, it's not just people outside your head, not outside of the idea. It's people who actually have the skill set and the experience to launch you forward, to accelerate your growth and success.
Wow. Thank you. Yeah. This was fantastic. And I'm looking in Danielle saying thank you for sharing. So many nuggets, so helpful. I see people writing challenge. So there's request for your free gift.
Oh yeah. And you know what, guys, if you are writing challenge, there is another golden little nugget inside of that freebie that you're gonna receive. I included a business plan assessment tool, and it's automated. So you can actually kind of figure out different aspects of a business plan with that assessment tool. That's at the bottom part of the business startup checklist.
Wow. Thank you.
Yeah.
So last thoughts. Let me see if there's anything. So if I were listening to this call, this interview, and you were to give me one thing to go do right now that could shift my 2019, what would that be?
Download the business startup checklist and complete it. Because honestly, it's so many pieces in there that just require a check or no check. And when you go back and you look at, you say, oh my gosh, I have a lot of unchecked boxes. You'll see the gaps, you'll see the holes. But let's say you don't go for the challenge. I think you should, but let's say you don't. I think what you want to do is have an honest assessment. You know, guys, you may thought I was gonna give you something deep, something crazy, like, oh no. Take a quiet moment, reflect on where you are in life right now and where you want to be, and devise a plan to get to where you, or recalibrate if you need to, or to celebrate the fact that you're in alignment with what you wanted for your life. Once you write that plan to, if you need to write a plan, once you write the plan to get wherever you want to go, find somebody that can help you put a strategy around that plan. And then find an accountability partner so you can stay, you know, in alignment with the need, with the plan, the steps to create that plan. So that's what I would say if you aren't getting the business starter checklist.
All right. Well, I saw a bunch of challenges go up. Challenge. So I think most people are going to be getting your business checklist, and you know, I'm going to go through it myself, because
right.
I'm going to go back to Brent and say, okay, I got some gaps, and we're going to get those gaps handled. You know, everyone, the reason this interview is so important was that January's coming to a close. People have written their goals, and I wanted to ensure that not only did you have goals, but that you were doing a plan and having a strategy to ensure that you are in alignment with your goals. What I mean by that is what you're going to do each day, day to day, is moving you in the direction of achieving what you desire. And if there's gaps, that you begin to seek out those individuals that can help you close those gaps, put answers in those gaps, put strategies in those gaps. Brent, if someone wants to reach out to you because they're just like, I found my gaps, I did the question, I did the sheet, I found my gaps. How do they reach you?
So you guys, of course, I branded the sheet, so my information's at the header. But for those who just want to reach out, you guys can find me Business with Brent Simpson on Facebook. And again, it's Business with Brent Simpson. And that's a strategy, you know, like when we get signed up for Facebook, did you know you can change the back heading of your URL to whatever you want, as long as it's available? So I made mine Business with Brent Simpson because I want you to think about doing business with Brent Simpson every time you look for me. So strategy, but aside from that, message. So, you know, also, you can send me a direct email, and that's brent@boldvisionenterprise.com. Or you can send me a direct message on Facebook. So I would also say contact Suzanne and, you know, just get in touch with me through her, or stop by and ask her, you know, what is it that you guys do together? Because I think if you hear more of the story about what we do together, some people are starting to engage us together. And, you know, that's a platform that someone might be interested in listening to this.
Absolutely. I have been talking with Mr. Brent Simpson from Bold Vision Enterprises. Brent, thank you so much. You know, you'll be back. You'll be back. You know, we'll be having many more of these conversations.
Yeah, I mean, whenever you have a spot available, I'm happy to jump in. Other than that, guys, again, thank you for inviting Suzanne to not only this platform, but out to speak in Toronto last week. And guys, if you are watching this, I'm trying to stop saying guys. My mom told me not to do that anymore. So people, if you haven't been out to one of Suzanne's training, you have to come out. It's amazing. Not only do I come as a guest appearance, but I am definitely there with my notebook, taking as many notes as anyone else in there. It's an amazing event. A lot of great content. Suzanne, I think you're wonderful. I look forward to seeing how successful your business is going to be in the future. And thank you for having me.
My pleasure. And Brent, such a joy to collaborate. We will definitely continue to talk, and watch out for great things. We're in the mix right now. So thanks everyone for joining us. I will talk to you next Tuesday, 12 o'clock, same time. And we're going into health, and how health and wellness actually impacts your business. So tune in. It's going to be a great conversation. Take care. Thank you.
All right. Have a good day.